The subject of history has been a long-standing fixture in the curriculums of schools. Teaching of history dating back to the 5th century BCE in Greece and the Indian subcontinent. This long-standing teaching of history has evolved throughout the ages, and in the modern education system has become a key subject that is taught in both primary and secondary schools across the globe. However, the teaching of history in the past has often been considered to be boring, and the lessons people used to endure were drab and dreary. Yet, in the modern curriculum, this isn't the case. Both the Australian Curriculum Assessment and Reporting Authority (ACARA) and the Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority (the QCAA) intend the teaching of history to be less teacher-driven and more student-focused. Yet, despite all these changes that have been made to the history curriculum, schools are still struggling to keep both modern and ancient history on the table for senior studies, as students often hold the notion that history is boring and not worth the time in terms of academic prowess. The stigmatization of history subjects in schools is often the result of historical thoughts on history, which paint history as a boring subject. However, students also feel that history doesn't give them the necessary skills to thrive academically in their senior years and later in life, whether that includes university or not. Yet, when you examine a new history curriculum across both ACARA and the QCAA, they both call for the use of inquiry-based learning, stimulates student learning, and gives precedence to students' investigative work. I propose to ensure the survival of history as a discipline taught in high school. We, as a school, should ensure that the students are the leaders of the curriculum. Students should be allowed to follow the rabbit hole of history and investigate the areas that are of interest to them in their studies. This, however, is made difficult by the prescriptive nature of the new QCAA curriculum for senior students. Therefore, we need to work with the new curriculum to ensure that we are meeting all of its requirements, while still ensuring students in history are able to delve deep into the rabbit hole of history and explore in their own way. This will not only allow the students to ensure they are engaging and enjoying the subject, but they are also gaining critical analysis skills that are vital to the education of young people in the 21st century. Teaching students these analysis skills allow young people to develop key areas of their thinking, in particular the crucial metacognitive activity of reflecting, which with the help which helps connect the four key inquiry components of forming, finding, evaluating, and analyzing. This is depicted on the screen currently in an easy to read diagram. Young people's progression in their inquiry helps them to develop meaning from previous understandings and decisions of inquiry. The art of reflecting for young people in the 21st century is crucial in their exploration of subjects both inside school and events that occur in the outside world both during and after their senior education. If students were able to see the usefulness of history in developing these skills and their applicability to the workplace, there would be a possible increase in the overall number of students who choose to take history subjects at senior level. To help achieve this, there are a few proposals that I would like to put forward that will cater to students who are set to take different pathways, yet will develop the vital skills from the study of history in their senior years. The first of these proposals includes the extension of the classroom to include a wider community education program targeting the subject of history. but could be extended across all senior subjects. In achieving this wider community involvement in the education of students in the senior years, several external relationships will need to be established with organisations that are able to cater to educating students both in school and on excursions. This inclusion of the wider community in the education of young people during their senior years will help students to see the different pathways that they can take with the skills that they have developed through studying history, whether that be through university or other pathways. In using the wider community to help teach students about history and the different pathways that they can take with the skills they have learned from the subject, we as a school need to ensure that we are engaging the wider community as much as we can in an attempt to highlight the outcomes students can create through their study of history. Some of the community groups that we as a school could reach out to in an attempt to expand our school into the wider community are organisations such as the RSL, the Return and Services League. This would be a perfect example of a community group that would be able to work both in school and at their local headquarters. Students would learn vital parts of history from former servicemen and servicewomen. The veterans from the RSL would be able to provide students with first-hand accounts of events in Australia's recent history. The RSL would be a great resource to ensure young people are able to explore the recent military history of Australia and receive first-hand accounts of events from the campaigns these men and women have served in. However, this community group wouldn't be able to provide our young people with clear pathways they can take with studying history. However, young people would gain great value from these first-hand accounts. Another community group that could help provide students with a pathway from history in their senior years to a career could be the police service. Normally, you wouldn't think of the police service using history as a tool in their day-to-day jobs, and for the most part, you would be correct. However, the skills that you are able to develop through history would be a crucial aspect of any policeman or policewoman's day-to-day life. This is because the police have to react to high-stress situations every day. Yet, if they are able to analyze their surroundings or any evidence they discover, this may assist them in completing their job with some relative ease. As well as analyzing situations and evidence, the other three metacognitive components of reflecting would also help members of the police force in their daily jobs, with them having to utilize forming, finding and evaluating alongside analyzing every day. The use of the police force to show students an alternate pathway to university with the skills learned from studying history would be indispensable for all students. A third community group that could be vital in helping young people discovering an alternate pathway could be sports personalities. This might sound like an odd career path to highlight to young people. However, the skills previously listed that come as part of the metacognitive package of reflecting are applicable in almost every sport that is played in Australia and the globe, from rugby league to esports. Each sport requires participants to utilize complex metacognitive strategies that stem from the four key components used in inquiry-based learning. A fourth community group that could be utilized in educating young people on their future pathways could be local business managers and human resources representatives, so HR reps. These careers, like careers in sporting or the police force, require workers to exhibit strong reflective skills surrounding their work and the work of the people they are managing. People look to pursue careers in business management and human resources would be benefited greatly by studying either modern or ancient history in their senior years of high school, with the skills that are taught being vital to their responsibility of the professions. The final community group that as a school we could seek to build positive relationships with is the local indigenous community. As a school, we could utilise the local elders and their knowledge of the workforce for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to assist our own Indigenous young people. The elders could also help in the teaching of history in the senior years. This is due to the need to study 2 Australian specific units in each of year 11 and 12 under the new QCAA Modern History curriculum. The use of community in helping us as a school to show young people their possible choices in life is vital to the progression of young people from high school to the workforce. There is a large percentage, 16.8% as of 2013, of young people between ages of 15 and 21 that are not either engaged in full-time education and are unemployed. This is a frightening statistic for young people who have elected not to continue their studies through to university. Due to this alarming figure, it is vital that we as a school ensure that not only students are heading down the pathway to university are catered for in their exposure to the different pathways young people can take when they leave school. We need to ensure all students understand there are alternate pathways that don't involve university study. As a school, I believe that these changes to the curriculum, especially history, and the way it is taught, would benefit young people greatly. We can engage the community in this project by getting speakers in from different organisations and walks of life to highlight to young people that university isn't the only pathway a school leaver can take. This is especially relevant when students are selecting their subjects for senior secondary, and the possibilities that each of those subjects gives the young people studying those courses. Thank you all for taking the time to listen regarding changes to our whole school curriculum.